Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome into the Graham Lincoln Mac Lane podcast, presented by Ingles, the official supermarket of Graham Lincoln Mac Lane. Mac, there are two ACC teams in the playoff. Clemson won the ACC Championship. It was an amazing game. We have so much to dive into. But I want to say you are in Bristol, and this is your annual tie episode. Tell the people why this is your annual tie episode.
Yeah, I look forward to doing this, every single year. And, I was doing a lot of reflecting on the plane on the way from the ACC Championship to Bristol. And I just was thinking about how terrible of a spot this episode was in last year and how I was so miserable, so sad, because football season was essentially over.
Yeah.
And Florida State being left out of the playoff. And to this season, literally, I'm on the same flight, same time. I watched the show in the air. We watched the reveal together. Me, Taylor, Coach, Eddie, Sam Acho, Texas legend, funny enough, right beside me, which is ironic. And so just the jubilation, we knew Clemson was in, obviously. So the day already was fine. It was great. But then, the little bit of the uncertainty, of SMU and what they were going to do. Because at the end of the day, we don't know. There's no real rules, there's no stipulations, just whatever they want to do. And I think they did the right thing. I think SMU more than proved that they deserve to be there and won. I mean, they won games and they played in a conference championship. So all of that should have mattered, and it did. And at the end of the day, Roll Tide on out of that playoff, which we love to see.
I feel like, honestly, what happened today, and this is, of course, releasing Monday, but what happened Sunday shows that as a society, we have evolved, that we don't just have to put Bama in because they are Alabama. And I do think we should make this more about what SMU has done and what Clemson has done. I mean, Clemson obviously has 9 lives. They are in because of the ACC Championship. But I just want to say this about Bama being left out. Miami, of course, being left out. Some of that was just what's happened ahead of them. Obviously, they lost 2 games. But for Bama, for a team like Bama, I have yet to really see a true Alabama fan actually be mad because they understand. We all know the truth here. You have unlimited resources, unlimited money, millions more than some of these other teams that you're trying to jump in over. You have the best roster that money can buy, and all you had to do was beat Vanderbilt. So it's just, or
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
5-6 Oklahoma.
I don't feel sorry for you. That may sound harsh, but that's just the reality. The SEC has 50 billion other teams in. Am I being harsh, Mac? Am I right?
No, that's the same thing for Miami. All you had to do was beat Syracuse.
Beat Syracuse. Beat Georgia Tech.
All you had to do. Yeah. And so at the end of the day, all these, folks, not really Miami included, I think they made a good case for their reasoning. But, these other teams with 3+ losses, complaining about our strength of schedule, that matters. Well, the wins are great. I totally get it. And who you play matters and who you beat matters. But it also matters that you have 3 losses like you didn't. That's awesome that your schedule's so hard and you couldn't do it. That's part of it. Sorry. Try again next year. And the funniest thing that I see, KG, is, these folks, and specifically the Alabama AD, which is just so comical, tweets out this long novel about how I guess we need to call all of our future out-of-conference opponents and cancel those and just sign up a bunch of FCS. I said, well, bad news, Greg. You'd be calling a bunch of FCS schools canceling the FCS game. They're out of schedule. They're out of conferences, the weakest in the entire country.
That wasn't the problem.
It wasn't any part of the problem. The part was Vandy and Oklahoma. So it's so funny to me, just seeing the different reactions and all these different things. But, at the end of the day, this is going to be a fun playoff. I cannot wait to see it. The matchups, the sites, the seeding, I think it makes a really, really interesting run for a handful of teams if they can get to certain places. So it's going to be brilliant. I can't wait to talk about it. But we had a great championship game too, KG. It was so much fun to watch.
Let's recap that game. But like you said, Mac, you and I both have been skeptical of this 12-team playoff, but it made this game on Saturday night matter even more, which was cool. And then now, I'm so interested in this bracket, the bracket format, the home teams, the crazy matchups we never thought we would see, Clemson and Texas and SMU and Penn State. It's gonna be fun. I'm very excited about it, Mac. I will tell you that I was lying in my hotel in Durham watching the game. I called a Duke game, whatever day you think it is. I called it Sunday, um, and I was very comfortable because I was in my rowback gear. And this is one of my new rowback quarter zips that I've ordered. I wore another one that I had that I have to wait, Mac, because the collar has some like interesting things on it. I'll have to show it to you later.
Okay.
I wore it to shoot around today because it was that
Oh,
swaggy. So I'm just
wow.
loving it. Use our code GMPod, 20% off. Do it now.
Come on. Come on. I'm all about that, KG. Let's get a quick message from Roback. Actually, this is like my modeling career. So if you guys leave some comments on this, we'd love to hear some feedback.
Okay, Mac, let's dive into this ACC Championship. Clemson beats SMU 34-31. This game was wild. It was truly a tale of two halves. It was Clemson in the first half, SMU in the second half. SMU literally did not play well in the first half. Clemson did not play well in the second half. But the irony that it ends with the 56-yard bomb from Nolan Hooser when Clemson has not been able to make a field goal all season. Those are the types of storylines that make college football what it is. You don't have that in the NFL. You don't have an NFL unit that can't kick a field goal. Like, it just can't happen.
Yeah.
And then somehow you make a 56-yarder. It was just a really great college football game, Mac.
Yeah. Now, listen, I don't ever have to correct you, and I'm not correcting. I'm just telling you, we couldn't block for a field goal. We can make field goals.
I hear you.
We just can't block
I hear
for
you.
a field goal.
But
And it is hilarious.
It
is hilarious that it. Yeah, and it was one of those things where even after the game, I'm talking with Coach Sweeney, and I just say, how ironic is it that this game comes down to something that you are the worst in the nation at, protecting your field goal, and you kick a game winner, the longest ever in the history of the entire ACC championship game, which is just nuts, and the confidence. From our guy there, looking at the camera, winking before he kicks this ball. It was nuts. It was absolutely nuts. And diving in the game, as you kind of said, KG, it went a little bit like I thought it would. I thought that Clemson had the ability to overwhelm these guys, but they responded so well. So Clemson comes out, jumps out, 21 points in the blink of an eye. You've got the strip sack fumble by TJ Parker, third play of the game. Clemson runs a quarterback draw, and Cade pops up and throws the ball for a touchdown. Two touchdowns later, you're like, whoa, okay, what is this about to turn into? And I thought that they looked really clean, defense and offense. Thought that Clemson had a great plan. Obviously looked like a team on a mission. And then, SMU turned it on. And, Kevin Jennings showed, while he is one of the best quarterbacks in the country, why he's going to be on every single possible list next year. He threw the ball 50 times, 300 yards, 3 tutties, smooth operator, ran for a touchdown that was really impressive. And again, I think what really bled and shined through, KG, was the culture of SMU and what Coach Lashley is building, what those guys do. Because listen, there's a couple of different factors. Number one, when you walk into that stadium that Clemson has won so many championships in, where you see that Paul lined up across from you, and they've never played before. They've never seen each other. Yeah. It's not like they played earlier in the year, right, and this is a rematch. This is the first time they've ever seen Clemson, and it's in a championship. And it's when Clemson's back's against the wall and everything is on the line. And so, I think that you have to give those guys credit for rebounding and going into the locker room, going into halftime, making adjustments, and KJ methodically doing his thing. I mean, that game-tying drive, marching down the field, was sick. He made so many crazy arm angle throws, getting out of the pocket, going through his reads, just delivering dots. And it was fun to see. But then Cade Klubnik turns into a superhero. Before that, you see just all these guys just doing their thing all year long. And, I think when Adam Randall was benched, I mean, he was, sat down, became the number 2 guy. He could have quit. He could have walked out on his team, could have gotten the transfer portal. It's
Literally.
not fair. I've had all these
Yeah.
injuries, all these different things, and he didn't. And he's a great leader. He's a great team player. I think he loves Clemson. I think he loves the guys on this team. And for him to have arguably the biggest play of Clemson's season on that kick return, where everybody kind of leading into it was saying, just fair catch it, just get the ball. And Coach Sweeney wanted to be aggressive and said, no, return this. And for it to be Adam Randall, his first career kick return, first this year, for 41 yards, setting up the Cade Klubnik, beautiful look off the safety, get it to Antonio Williams, then the 50-yard field goal. It was two teams back-to-back operating at a super high level of offense. And I love to see it. It's fun for me, and it's more fun that my Tigers got it done.
No, it was fun. It was such a fun game. Like we said, the first half, Clemson looked phenomenal. Second half, KJ just came alive because the 2 turnovers, obviously, in the first half were tough. The fumble, the strip sack by TJ Parker, give TJ Parker credit. That guy has just exploded. And I was reading too, I did not know this about TJ Parker, Mac. I don't know if you do, that basically he had been dealing with really bad migraines and they finally got some medication that's helped him. And they figured it out like before the Pitt game. I was reading this on Tiger Illustrated, so I'll shout out them. Isn't that crazy? So obviously he's exploded since then. That's wild to me. And then the interception was also tough. Like that, just throw that one away. I'm not sure what Jennings was trying to do. But then the second half, he was phenomenal. And both these quarterbacks had their moments. Mac, I think when you look at it too, in the second half, yes, SMU came storming back. They didn't panic, which was big. I mean, that shows a lot about your culture. But the main issue for Clemson, yes, they got a little conservative, which, Clemson tends to do with a lead. But
what do you call it, KG? What did you used to call it on radio?
I call it run, punt. But it's a little different because you couldn't run the ball. That's kind of my point. Maffa is beat up. Jay Haynes is, I'm assuming, done. Like, he's not going to play in the playoff. His knee looked like a disaster. Clemson runs for 64 yards. I think it's really hard to go conservative and run clock and maintain a lead when you can't run the ball. I mean, the Tigers finished with 64 rushing yards. So that was part of why SMU came back. And credit SMU, they outgained Clemson, all these things. But that lack of running game was a big issue for Clemson in the second half.
Yeah, it was. And, I think that's something we'll talk about that here in a second when we kind of put a bow on this game. But that's going to be a big, not even an X factor. It's a huge deal in this
big
Texas
question mark.
Running football and the health of Phil Maffa. And, Clemson kind of was playing with one hand behind their back. And, it's one of those things, KG, if you guys watched our huddle show last night, I had a little tape here and just yet again, Clemson runs to the boundary a pitch play where the reason you do it is the numbers game. Like, literally, my head's going to explode if I see this again. There were 6 defenders, KG, waiting. 6. There were only 4 offensive blockers. Like, in what world do you ever think that's going to work? And it was a 5-yard loss. Now, Clemson did score on that. They had that great pass to Brenningstool, but that type of stuff is going to get you murdered against Texas. Like, you can't have those type of plays. You can't have those type of negative plays. And so it's fascinating. I think kind of, really big picture for Clemson, and I'd love your thoughts on this too. I don't think that they have not played 60 minutes of football. I have been saying this since week 3. We saw a unbelievable half against Georgia where that defense was firing. That defense held them to like 0.8 yards per rush. And then the second half, it got busted open. We've seen them multitude of times. First half, score 40-plus points. Can't do really anything. Defense gives up 20-plus in the second half there. This game, a great example. Score 24 in the first half. 3 in the first quarter, 21, 3 touchdowns in the first quarter. Give up 17 points in the fourth quarter. So I don't think we've seen the best of Clemson football. Will we ever? Great question for this particular group, for this particular season. But if we do, they're going to be a problem. These dudes are developed. They have shined. It's just that consistency piece. Can you put it all together for 60 freaking minutes and play championship football.
Mhm.
And it's a tough road. You got a really long road ahead to win a national championship, but the key is you're on the road and you got invited to the party.
Yeah, and it's just one game at a time, right? I mean, now that this bracket is so big, you just kind of have to look at that one game at a time. Now, a bye would have been nice. The
Sure.
committee ranking Arizona State over Clemson, I thought was interesting. Like if you're going to rank SMU ninth, and then a team beats your ninth ranked team, you'd feel like they'd jump up a little higher than they did. I don't know. I mean, we're just splitting hairs at this point. But you talk about some of these guys kind of like growing up for Clemson. Sammy Brown was your leading tackler. TJ Parker had a sack and 3.5 tackles for loss. And then Bryant Wesco. Bryant Wesco was the X factor offensively, 2 touchdowns, 143 yards. The big playability. It feels like Wesco hit early in the season. He obviously, I know he had some injuries, but like freshman lull kind of. Could have used him against Louisville, could have used this type of
Sure.
performance, but maybe he's kind of pushed through that wall because you're going to need some Wesco, Texas native, as well as Klubnik against Texas.
Yeah. No, it really is fascinating because his first start, he had 130 yards. Then in his last, I guess it was a regular season, but in his last to date, goes for 143. I think that confidence is exactly what Clemson needs because Texas has the number 1 pass defense in the country. Like it's going to be extremely difficult. You're going to have to win these 50-50 balls and there's going to be a lot of juice for him and for Cade and the excitement, really of that. And, these guys wanting to perform in a school that they probably grew up watching. And so I can't wait to see it. It's going to be a ton of fun, KG. Again, all the kudos and respect and excitement for SMU. The future is so bright. And again, they're not done. They're in this playoff. They're going to make an outstanding run. We're going to talk about that here in a second. What's next for them? We keep referencing Texas. They play Penn State at Happy Valley. Whiteout. The good thing is it's at 1:00. It's not a night game. Thank God. But that's going to be crazy. But very excited for them. And then shout out to Coach Sweeney and these Tigers. That's just what they do. They win. They win championships. And when they get in the postseason, look out because they handle business. So I can't wait to see that. You mentioned it. Let's get to a message from our friends over at Ingles, and then we're going to do a little playoff talk about this bracket and a little bit of bowls, and we'll have so much more down the road, but we're going to do a top-line discussion. So let's go.
Did you know Ingles only sells USDA Choice and Prime cuts of meat? Maybe it's time to reward yourself. Our butchers cut all our meat fresh in the store every day. Grass-fed, organic, you name it. Not only that, we'll even cut it to order just the way you like it. And we grind meat fresh in the store multiple times a day. It's all in the bag. That's the best meat in town for the best folks in town. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
Mac, what a game it was. And we'll talk a little bit here, Clemson, Texas, and Penn State, SMU. We are going to have deep, in-depth interviews and episodes for those games. So stay tuned, and we'll give you a few bowl games that stand out. But Mac, okay, initially, when you saw, actually, I'm going to tell you this story. When I saw that Clemson was playing Texas, so for those that don't know, I'm from Texas. I'm from Austin, okay? So I grew up a Texas fan. I grew up going to Texas games, grandpa had season tickets, all this. So I've been to so many games in that stadium, but I never thought Clemson and Texas would play. Actually, my grandpa passed about close to 2 years ago. So I know that he's looking down and very excited about this matchup because it's super cool.
No
and
question.
so in my mind, I'm like, we got to go. We're going to Texas for Christmas this year. We already had our flights for December 21st. So, Nick gets on the phone. He's making arrangements. We've moved our flights to the 20th. We are using my grandfather's tickets, which I think is really cool, to go to the game. So just super pumped to be able to do that. And I think it's really cool to have these home games, Mac. Like, it's great for the sport. You're going to see Penn State, that environment. Sorry, SMU. I mean, that's going to be tough. And we could talk about that. Ohio State, I guess it's just your birthright to be in. They're hosting. Notre Dame, probably going to be freezing. They're hosting. And then Texas, just to get that environment, to get a Texas Clemson. Like, when would we ever get that matchup? I just think it's really cool and exciting. But what was your first thoughts, Mac, when you saw Clemson, Texas?
Yeah, I was jacked up because I kind of thought that's where we would be. And really, again, this is just strictly as a fan. There wasn't like a super analysis into this, but the two places and two teams I wanted to play if Clemson didn't get the bye, which people may be laughing at that, maybe not, was either Notre Dame or Texas. And, I just think that obviously it's amazing environments, great games, great atmospheres. And then, it's probably teams that Clemson matches up fairly well against.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things where, you look at this bracket, and again, this is such a homer point of view. I think Clemson's a 11-point dog. So this is crazy that I'm even going this way. But Texas' schedule is abysmal. Like, Clemson is by far the second best team they've played. And there's something to that. And there's something to coming off of, that SEC championship and losing twice to the Dogs. And, who knows what some injury status is. Some offensive linemen were shaken up, all these different things. And Clemson's dealing with it too. I mean, this is going to be a very fascinating trend of this playoff, KG, especially if someone from the first round makes it to the now. Like, what does their team look like? How are they physically able to play? I mean, that's an NFL season. That's 17 games that they will have to play if that happens. But I just look at it and think, okay, if you're able to somehow get by Texas, I feel great about Arizona State. I mean, I know that they're a good team and they won their conference, but they're as one-dimensional as it gets. And I know that one dimension is really, really good. I get it. But I just, you feel great about that. Then you look who they might play. Oregon, clearly the number one team in the country, has run the table, is undefeated. But they potentially have to play Ohio State again. And it's hard to beat a team twice.
Yeah.
And if we have to play Ohio State in the semifinal, Clemson loves playing Ohio State, and that would be in Dallas, Texas.
Except for the last time, but it's fine.
That COVID year, they cheated. They played 5 games the whole year. All good. When it's real football, it's fine. And imaginary targeting penalties getting hit in the back. I mean, that's outrageous. Anyway, I'm not salty about the game, KG. I think this thing shakes out really good. Do you have the bracket in front of you? Do you want to give me a little win game real quick? Just early predictions off the top of your head?
Okay, I think you and I, because I'm still so let's just be real. And Clemson fans are going to hate me for this. And I did pick SMU to win. I recall.
Keep going. Keep the energy.
Clemson doesn't deserve to be in this playoff. They don't. They have 9 lives and they have found a way and they're in. And, anything can happen. But I guess for you, you're looking win game. I'm looking at the first game for Clemson.
For sure.
Because it's just been such a crazy season, up and down season. But I do think, I think both teams, SMU and Clemson, from an ACC perspective, to see that if you win, you play Boise or Arizona State, that looks pretty good.
It does.
You're not going to be a big underdog. I would imagine you're less of an underdog against Boise than you are against Penn State. Same thing for Clemson and Texas. And for SMU, Mac, I mean, Penn State, it's kind of similar to Texas. They haven't beaten anybody. And I stand by, the Big Ten getting, 4 teams in. I think the Big Ten is so unbelievably overrated. And we'll see if that shows up. We'll see if that shows up with Ohio State, Penn State, Indiana. But I actually, from a just see if you can win, I thought it would have been better to be the 11. Even though you're going to Happy Valley, I get that. That's tough. Yeah. But you're playing Penn State, then possibly Boise. I mean, SMU's got an interesting path here. I don't see those. I see those games as, anything could happen. Who knows?
For sure. And again, we talk about, playing nobody, whatever, however you want to say it. Both Texas and Penn State have lost to every ranked team they play.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. And you could have said that before the ACC Championship. You could have said that about Clemson too. There is so much parity, so much craziness. I mean, think of the Final Fours we had leading into this, KG, where there's 4 undefeated teams. There are monsters. And now we've got a 3-loss team in here and only 1 undefeated team in a field of 12. It's just been a crazy,
but Max,
crazy season.
That too, it does make me wonder, because we're so past the top 4 and all that, but would they have put Boise in a 4-team playoff?
No, not even close.
It makes
they would have been
wonder.
They would have been in Dallas. They would have been in the
but I mean, and that's what's fun. That's what's exciting. Yeah, you get Clemson sneaking in, you get Arizona State sneaking in, but you also get Boise. They're rewarded for their season. They almost beat Oregon. They beat everyone else. Now let's see what you got. That's what's fun. That's what's fun about this.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see it. And again, kind of speaking with EJ Manuel about the SMU Penn State, he said, if I'm Rhett Lashley, I am dissecting that Oregon game like crazy because we have weapons just like they do, and they were dicing them up and mixing that in, that speed. Now, it's going to be different. You're at their house. It's going to be freezing cold and maybe snow. But, how can you manage that? That's probably what I'm the most interested in SMU, because I thought they looked pretty overwhelmed in this stadium, which was like 70% full, mostly Clemson fans. What is it going to be when it's 106,000 people?
But they figured it out. Like, Mac, I get what you're saying. I think the first half, obviously, the fumble, the pick, the penalties, but they settled
it's crazy, though. I mean, think of the first time, KG, you played in a massive arena.
Yeah.
It's different. Sight lines, the crowd, it's different.
I guess the best stadium or the toughest stadium they played in this year was Louisville.
Right. Which, again, it ain't 106. Like, Ford Field holds 30,000. 106,000.
That's a good point. I hear you. I hear you on that.
We'll see. We'll see.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun, Mac. Okay, do you want to talk about a couple of these bowl games before we get out of here? Just your initial thoughts?
Let's look at some bowls, because I think there's some fun, exciting things. And here, we'll kind of say this because we do need to get out of here probably. The interesting thing is we don't ever know who's going to play, right? Like Cam Ward, I don't expect to play. Amarian Hampton, I don't expect to play. Let's just roll through some of these, and we're going to have previews in depth and really go in these as we get more information. Cal playing UNLV is fascinating. That Cal defense is a really good UNLV team that can sling the ball, has a very dynamic quarterback. I'm interested in that one. Obviously, we have the playoff. Georgia Tech playing Vanderbilt.
I love that one.
Sign me up. I mean, that is gritty. That is exciting. I think that, Coach Key is pissed about the last time he was on the field with that outcome, and obviously coming up a little bit short. Syracuse, Washington State, I think can be a really good game.
Need to win that one.
Fascinating. Yeah, definitely. Miami, Iowa State, I have no idea what to expect. I have no idea who's going to play. No clue who's going to be out there. A ranked matchup that on paper looks great. It's on ABC, but I just don't know who's going to be available. East Carolina, NC State. I know you probably don't know much about this, KG, but this is a hated rivalry.
Yeah, I'm already worried. I'm already worried for NC State.
Yeah, it's going to be. I don't know if I'm worried, but it's going to be like a legit packed out game. This might be sold out.
Yeah.
The only thing, it's in Annapolis, but that could be really, really fun there, and excited to see that. Louisville, Washington. Louisville should run the table.
We need to win that one.
And that's what I'd love to see. But the one that just will really make my heart tingle, at the end of the day, is if Duke beats Ole Miss. I will be insufferable on Twitter. I really will. All the complaining, all the tweeting from Lane Kiffin that just makes me want to throw up. I will love if Manny Diaz smacks these boys. And we'll see. I doubt anybody from Ole Miss plays. And who knows? I mean, they might kill Duke. Who knows? But I think that is a very interesting game that I cannot wait to see. I will be 1,000% tuned into that game.
That is a game that I think people will tune in, even if Jackson Dart and all those guys don't play. The Gator Bowl on January 2nd, 2 9-3 teams. Yeah, that one's fun, Mac. I'm very interested in that game for sure. There's a few others like UConn, UNC. Honestly, I'm already dreading it. Like, you're just going to stress me out. You know what I mean? I don't know about that one.
Will Bill Belichick be coaching that game, you think?
Okay, I can't even deal with these rumors. There's no way. There's absolutely no way.
I mean, I don't get a rumor like he interviewed. Like it's like a thing. We'll just see if it happens.
Crazy. Are we about to have Bill Belichick on the pod, Mac?
Maybe. Sounds miserable, to be honest.
Okay.
Maybe.
Speaking of Belichick, BC Nebraska, that bowl game, old school, hard nosed. Like, that'll be a fun one too. But these will be fun. Mac, how did you do on your underdog picks? Tell me.
Funny enough, I went 3 of 5.
Okay.
I didn't do the insurance thing, which stinks. I would have won money. So what did I miss on? I missed on Antonio Williams scoring a touchdown.
Yeah.
He just want to play football. And Cade Klubnik rushing touchdown. That didn't happen. Two things I thought were the best surefire things did not happen.
Can
Everything
I tell
else
you?
did.
Let me tell you.
KJ, talk to me.
Let me tell you what I missed because you're gonna laugh. I took both kickers under 1.5 field goals made. So Colin Rogers hit. Colin Rogers was lower, but old Hoosier, baby. That one did not work out. I thought that was a surefire,
I'm glad it didn't.
It didn't, Mac. But use our code GMPOD, Underdog Fantasy. Sign up. Bowl season's going to be crazy on Underdog Fantasy. And Mac, I have been, you too. We both have been on the road this whole week. I am really excited to head to Ingles this week, make some home cooked stuff. Just need it. I need to just sit on my couch. That's what I need.
That's right. Make you a little chili, make you a little soup, get you a little guac, whatever you need. They got it. So, hey, we appreciate y'all. Crazy this season. Where it is, it's playoff time. It's bowl season. It's going to be a ton of fun. I cannot wait to see this. Can't wait to see these matchups all throughout the postseason, specifically the college football playoff. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We appreciate your support so much. We're going to have a bunch of stuff coming through down the pipeline about all these different games. So thank you guys for tuning in. We need you to subscribe, jump on the YouTube channel with us, leave some comments. Tell us what you think about this playoff. Are you happy? Are you sad? Did your team not make it? Why should they or why shouldn't they have? Jump in there and let us know. And of course, the OGs over on Apple Podcasts, SiriusXM, we appreciate your support as well. But until next time, we'll see y'all.